Oh hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. Yes, welcome to the chat. Welcome to my live stream and another chapter. Working on that guy there. That is our 98 Firebird. Wham Air by Ravel Monogram. We'll run the intro. We'll get started. Okay guys, we're back. We're going to continue on the build. Last time we did a whole bunch of getting the undercarriage dirty and stuff like that, and getting our exhaust all rusty and looking more realistic to what an older car would look like. And so yeah, that's what we got going on there. I did a little bit of stuff off camera, so I'll just kind of recap what I did off camera. Really all I did was I painted the steering wheel and I worked on some seat belt details. Let's change the camera so you can see what I'm talking about, okay? And while I'm at it, I'll change my glasses. Alright, so I got our steering wheel painted and installed. So there's our dashboard now. Dashboard is complete and all ready to go in the car. She's all done. Yep, just like that. Done and done. Okay, that's that. Now, seat belts. As you guys know, I 3D printed the little seat belt buckles there, and I was planning on doing the shoulder belts in this car too. So I fabricated a couple of little loops to go on the headrest there. Did that on each of the front seats, and I took a little piece of solder and I shaped it to go in here. I don't know if the camera will even focus there, and made a little loop there for my seat belt to hook into on the headliner there. Okay, I did that for two of them, both sides. Basically all I did to make those was I literally took some solder. I've got some very small solder here, and I just took a little bit of it and I made a little bend in it, and I kind of flattened it out a little bit, and then made a little bend like this in it so that I could glue it to the side of the pillar, but also have it stick out a little bit so that I'll be able to run the seat belt through there. Speaking of seat belts, I've kind of mocked up some seat belts and made myself some little I guess 2mm seat belts. So how did I make these? I literally took some Tamiya 2mm, no sorry, it's 1mm, some Tamiya 1mm wide tape, and folded it over on itself so that there's no sticky side. Basically folded its sticky side like that, so I get a little bit of a thickness to it, and then just painted it black. Done. There's my seat belts. Okay, so I just got them sitting over here because, well, just to stay out of the way, because I'm not ready for them yet. The other thing I did was I tinted our back window. Our back window is now tinted. Okay, just like that. So really all I did was I just sprayed it with some Mr. Surfacer 1500 black, and we're gonna have a very nice tinted back window now, just like that. And it's actually in the light, because I only sprayed one coat on it. If I get it in the right light, I can see a little barely through it, but not really. So it kind of is really tinted. Yeah, like if I put my finger under there, I can see. I don't know if the camera will get it. Let me see here. Well, the camera, you can see my finger under there moving around. So yeah, we do have, it's a tint. It's not a fully blacked out window. How about that? So I take my masking tape off of here because I don't need it anymore. I left the little lens for our interior light. I left that clear because when it goes in there, yes, we're going to have a black headliner, but you're going to see that clear lens, and that's what the important thing is that the lens will be actually clear, like it should be. Okay, so that's that, and that kind of sums up what I did off camera. Another thing I did off camera though was I took a look at our interior bucket and realized I need to get the interior bucket in the center there dirty too. Otherwise that looks really weird how that's suddenly a really clean white spot. So just before starting to record, I put a little bit of dirt on there. So we're going to make this, we're going to take the same thinner as before and just kind of smear it around here a little bit and reactivate this in some spots and kind of get this looking not quite so pristine. Because it's just wrong. It shouldn't be so clean. So we'll just dirty that up a little bit there. Now, I don't want like all these brush strokes, so I am going to just kind of dab it a little bit with paper towel, a little bit like that, and we'll let that dry, and I think that's probably good enough. I don't think I need any more. I mean, it is going to be covered by the drive shaft, so, and the transmission, so yeah, maybe in the front there it should get a little bit dirtier. I'll just add a little bit more of the engine grime. Whoops, good thing I hadn't opened that yet. That's a good way to get it shaken up. So I'm just going to add a little bit more here. Doink, doink, doink. And spread that around. I want it to pool a little bit, and I'm going to leave it like that. I think that's good enough. Yeah, that's good. We'll let that dry. Let that dry like that, and that should be good. Should be good. Clean my brush here. I think our next step is going to be doing stuff with the rear axle. Is the next step. So it still wants to pool, so I'm gonna just let that sit kind of like this. I'll put that off to the side here. Okay, so if we're looking at our instructions here, our next step in the process after installing our exhaust, which we did last time, getting the exhaust installed, they want us to assemble our wheels and our brakes and get our rear end assembled here. So our rear end, we've already put the rear springs on the back, right? They're already on there. Okay, and I decided what I wanted to do. I wanted the actual coil springs to pop a little bit, but not paint them silver, because they wouldn't have been silver, they would have been black. It's very common, they'd be powder coated black, but I wanted them to kind of pop, so I just painted a little bit of clear coat on them, on the coil springs themselves, so that in certain angles and light you'll catch a little gleam off of them because they're shiny in comparison to the flatness of this. And also remember last time I dremeled that little notch in there while I painted that black, painted over that black, so it's not going to be noticeable. So we have our rear end. We've got a couple more pieces we need to install on it here, and that would be our exhaust shield, which they want it painted aluminum, and I wouldn't paint it black, but I can paint it aluminum, that's fine. And then we've got our sway bar that's got to go on there. So let's take a look at those two pieces. Oh, there's my exhaust shield right there, but I need number 45, our sway bar, which I just happened to throw back over here. This guy right here. which I've already painted black, but now I'll probably have to touch. I'll have to touch that up on the sprue there. And I'm just going to trim this down a little bit here. This is my brakes and wheel sprue now, and of course we're going to need two brake discs. Looks like we got number 50 and number 50. So 50 for the front, 50 for the rear. I guess that way it's a nice even 50-50. You get it? 50-50. Yeah. Yeah, right. I just ruined the mood with that stupid joke. No, I didn't ruin my mood. But there we go. They're all the same. They're all the same ones. And you know what? Since we're going to be dealing with wheels also, I might as well get all our wheels off of here. Okay. Wheels, wheels, wheels. Okay, I'm going to leave these brakes on there for now because we're not dealing with the front suspension just yet. Okay, and we get our exhaust shield. It's interesting that Pontiac would have thought that they need an exhaust shield just in case. Well, you think about it, what's it shielding it from? The big long piece like this, obviously it's shielding it from the drive shaft, should the drive shaft ever break loose or shatter, or, well, it wouldn't shatter, but break loose. Okay, so this guy is supposed to go on here. The question is, where does it... They show it in the picture. Let's get this in the right orientation here by getting this out of the way. We get our thing like this, and then that goes like this. It looks like they want it to go right here, very close to the front of this, but that's it, just like this. So what the heck? Where is it gluing to on the front is my question. In the meantime, we've got two little pegs to go onto these two holes here on our rear end. Just don't really want to go in their holes. They're a very tight fit, but they go. You press hard enough, they'll go in. There we go. We are in, we're just not. There we go. So it's just kind of sitting there. Let's see how it goes on the chassis. And let's take a look at. It's funny that they want us to paint the brake rotor steel and the brake caliper aluminum. Normally your brake rotors are extremely shiny from being rubbed on the on your brake pads. Let's see how this fits on here. It doesn't really fit, and that could very well be because of flashing on the inside of this, I think. Let's just get our... Where'd my knife go? It's over here. Let's just kind of clean out this hole a little bit. It's a good idea to clean your holes. You shouldn't have a dirty hole. Yeah, so you just that little bit of cleaning of it. So I can glue that on now. I can, but I want to make sure I've gotten rid of my nubs on the edge of my rotor here, because this is going to be wind up going inside here like this. No, it's going to go like this. It's going to go on the inside like that. So you got to make sure that's going to fit in there, right? I think it would anyway. But let's get this glued on here. And while I'm at it, I should glue my sway bar on. See, I want to make sure that my rotors are glued on very solidly before I even attempt putting the wheels on this car. So let's glue those in. There we go. Let's get another rotor. And just because I had to on the other one, I'm going to make sure this is cleaned out here and we don't have nastiness on the inside. And make sure my nub is nice and smooth. There we go. And then put them on here. A little bit of a tight fit. It's pretty snug. Glue. Glue. Just to make sure, a little press. Press. So there we go. Basically our rear end is completed now. So let's flip the page, because my wheel's pretty straightforward here. Actually, we're going to pause for a minute. Okay. I'm going to go get myself a socket to put on the inside of this. Okay, so I'll be back in a minute.
2,000 years later.
Okay, I am back, and I have a socket. Now, what have I got the socket for, do you ask? We're going to take some sandpaper, and we're going to make the tires look like they've actually been used, and not just, you know, straight off the shelf in the tire shop. So, what we do is you take some sandpaper, and we're going to take sandpaper and we're going to rough up the tires. Now this is what I used to do back in the old days when I was younger. I'd just take them and go like this over the tire. But now I'm a little older and I have actual electric power tools. And this is going to make my life a lot easier. Okay, we're going to use a drill. And we're going to take a socket that fits the tire. We're going to put the tire on there like that. And we're going to just spin it around. And we'll do it on the sandpaper. Like this. Maybe like this. No, maybe like this. And I'm going to call that done. And so you can see the difference in the tires. One looks like it's maybe been driven on a little bit and is not quite so shiny, and the other one looks like it's been sitting on a store shelf. And that's it. That's all there is to it. The goal is not to take away all the tread. You don't want to do that. If you sand away all your tread, then you've gone way too far, okay? You don't want to do that. good. One more. Now obviously this would have taken a lot longer, a lot more time. Oop. And that's done. I think I want to do my first one again, maybe? No, I think we're good. So that's it. So with that done, our tires now look like they're a little bit worn, like they've actually been driven on, right? And that's the whole point. If you want to go farther and make them look like they're a little more worn out, that's totally up to you. You can do that. I dropped a piece of sandpaper. I don't know where it went. Oh well. So our wheels go together. Where's the other half of our wheels? I got them back here. Here's our 4 front counterparts. Now what I did with these is I did a little bit of some panel liner in where the lug nuts go and got those done. And on each rim on the lug nuts I gave them a little dot of the bright silver paint I have, just to show, because you know lug nuts are usually a little bit brighter, they're not just aluminum. Our 2 halves are going to go together like this, and that's all it's going to do. But we're going to do it on each side of the tire. Now these tires do look like they're directional tires. They're definitely directional. Okay, we've got lettering on one side and nothing on the others. So they're all going to go with this one on that side. And on this side. And on this side, and on this side. Okay, now how's our fitment? They fit together good? I see my nubs. I can see my nubs. I don't like seeing my nubs. I also don't like being blurry as soon as I put something close to my face. Alright, there's one. Nub cleanup is very important. If you don't clean these up, you can get some weird warpage in their rubber tires. And it just doesn't look natural, and you don't want that. Almost. We're 75%. Okay. Let's see how she fits. She feels like we got good contact in there, in the center. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just push this through, push this back out of there, so that I can put glue in. I'm going to put some glue just in the center here, and that's it. And I'm not going to use this, I'm going to use this glue. Alternatively, I could put glue on the center here and push it in. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it'd make any difference. And just put some here, like that. Push that in, like that. I don't want to put so much that I can see anything in there, so I just want to leave it like that. You can see this ridge on the outside of the wheel. You can see that. Okay, you see what I mean? You can see the ridge in behind there, right? You can also see how shiny my lug nuts are. I got shiny lug nuts. My nuts are shiny. Okay, so I can put glue on around here. Just showing you it doesn't matter. You can put glue on either side. Squeeze that in there. There we go. But not so much glue that it's going to squeeze through. I see I've got a little bit of flashing on here that I don't like. notice until now. Before I continue, let's just make sure. Yeah, that one's clean. And that one's clean. Looks like I only had one rim. One wheel had a little bit of flashing on it, and I don't like that. I don't like that. So I'll do the same on this guy. I'll go around there. There we go. I'm happy I got no signs of glue seeping out on any of these. It's probably seeped into the hole, but that's fine. So there's our rims. All our rims now have tires on them. Yay, those are ready. I'm going to set those aside. It looks like my interior bucket is now dry, so that's good. I can put that aside. Let's check out step number 4. They want me to put the wheels on now, but I am not ready for that. I'm not ready for wheels yet. Step number 4. Oh, I guess it's still step number 3. Completed engine assembly. When they don't really show me where our exhaust guard is actually mounting, they show the drive shaft tip going into the transmission, but that's it. And obviously our shocks going into the shock mounts, but that's it. That's all they show. I don't like that at all. So we're playing a bit of a guessing game. We're gonna do a little bit of a mock-up, I guess, and see how this goes together. So line this up, get our guys in there. I see now our sway bar just touches here and here. But what about our guard? Our guard's got to go in here, but oh, he's got to go all the way up. Oh, he goes in and he goes onto the side of the transmission. Like way to the side of the transmission. Just gonna put my thumb under the front of it here. So it's really kind of like not. Sometimes it's just easier to do it by hand. It doesn't really fit there. It doesn't really want to fit between the third member and the chassis. And that could be because I lowered the rear end. I can almost guarantee you that is exactly why it doesn't fit. So I need to trim this down off of this corner here. I'm just going to use my nippers and let's just trim this off a little bit here. Right there. Give that a bit of a shave and see if we can get that to fit in there now. See, sometimes I forget I actually altered this car. I want to say almost. It doesn't look like there's really a definitive spot on the transmission, but except that it could just glue right there and probably be happy just like that. So I need to break out my black paint. I've got to touch this up where the nubs were, and I got to touch up my anti-sway bar. Sometimes called sway bar, sometimes anti-sway bar. I mean, really, they call it a sway bar, but it's designed to stop the sway. So that's why I keep calling them anti-sway. In my opinion, which doesn't really mean a lot, but in my opinion, it should be an anti-sway bar because it's stopping it. It's the opposite of swaying. The other thing I just realized, they wanted this painted aluminum, not black. They wanted it aluminum and not black. So I gotta break out my aluminum and give it a coat of aluminum. Let's get the black off of my brush. So this needs to be aluminum and not black. So I'm going to paint this whole thing except for this little spot. I'm going to get my aluminum. I'm probably, because it's black, I'm probably going to need 3 coats of aluminum to get this thing actually looking silver. And again, it does cover pretty good. Maybe the black accents will actually help the look. I don't know. It looks pretty good like that, actually. Not bad at all. 1 coat looks pretty good. Surprisingly, it covers pretty good. I just might leave it like that. Looks all right. Okay, while that is drying, which is only going to take a minute, we will get our rotors glued to our front suspension. I think actually I can glue this in. I'm going to glue our rear end in. Going to get our rear end glued in permanently here. Okay. I'm going to use a combination of both glues. A little bit of glue on our drive shaft. Nice good dab on the bottom of our shocks. And let's get our rear end in here. Here we go. Okay, and then I can glue where our sway bar touches, down in there, and then our actual control arms, I can glue them in from the top here. And it looks like I have access to our shocks through here too, so I can add a little more glue through the shock holes. Shock holes, that's a good term. Sounds like holes that shock you. I want to, this particular ones, I think I want to try and put a clamp on just to hold them, to help hold them in their little holes, because my shocks want to kind of resist them. So we're going to let that dry just like that. Okay, we'll let that sit while we can focus on our front suspension and getting our disc brakes onto the front. Okay, so I have my other 2 rotors, don't I? I thought I did. Did I get them off of there? I know I have my front suspension here. I did the same thing. Did I do the same thing? I did not do the same thing. I wanted to get... I thought I did. but I didn't. I need to get some clear coat onto my front coil springs, and I need to find my rotors. I thought I took the rotors. I didn't take the rotors off, but I thought I did. You guys with a keen eye might have noticed my brake calipers look a little bit different, and it's because I painted my brake calipers with light gunmetal, just to give them a little bit of a different color than the brightness of our rotors. Okay. Let's see how they fit. They don't. Of course they don't. Because of this little... Both of them. I can kind of see, when I look through this side, I can see that the hole looks like it's chamfered. There we go. Now it fits. Just going to double check. Yes, that's the way they're supposed to go. These ones are a little bit of a looser fit because I've altered where these sit on the actual suspension. So because I've altered where they are and they sit higher, they kind of have some slop to them, and you could have them angled funny, and I don't want that. I don't want funny angled rotors. I want normal angled rotors. Making sure I got glue all the way around, and now I'm going to get my gloss clear, which is just to me is X22, and I'll just get a little bit on my brush, but not too much, and I want to just touch the sides of the springs or coils here. I don't want to go in between them. So very lightly touching, just like that. Just so that, you know, if my buddy does happen to look underneath the car and he's taking a look under there, maybe glistening in the light, he'll be able to see the coil springs. And yet they'll be the accurate color they should be, which is black. That's the whole point. So there's our front suspension. And I think actually while we're waiting for the rear one to dry, I think I can mount our front one. Because actually putting the front suspension on is next. They want the tires on too, but we're not doing that yet. So we've already test fit this before, couple of times for me actually. We've got two little pegs, one here and one here, and they're going to line up in these two holes, here and here. And that's really about it. So do this, kind of try and do this without really touching the rotors. Get this lined up as close as I can before I really push down. Which means getting pegs lined up. There we go, we're lined up. Give that a squeeze in there. Now I think the holes go all the way through. Let me have a quick look. I can't see because of the engine, but yes, that is where they go. So what I want to do is, let's pull this back off. Oops, oops, oops. Okay, let's make sure my rotors are lined up. Okay, I'm going to put some glue on our holes here. One right there, one right there. A couple of good dabs of glue. And line up. The glue is going to help act as a lubricant for those pegs to slide in so that everything goes in where it's supposed to. Just like that. And now I can add my thin set. I call it thin set, but it's just extra thin. So I can put it on this spot here where it connects, and this spot here where it's supposed to be connecting but it's not. Why aren't you connecting? It doesn't want to connect there for some reason. Why not? Why don't you want to be on your home? Let's try that. You now have done that on that side. Let's do that. Alright. Connect to your home. It's important. Your home is important. Everyone needs a home. And it's important to go home sometimes. The problem with using the thin stuff is when you get a situation where it disconnects, it'll evaporate on you. Yeah, just like that, stupid thing. Piece of junk. Piece of junk Pontiac. I take it back, I take it back. Okay. Let's get our clamps back on here. Okay. Now we'll let the glue do its work. We'll let that sit for a little while. While that's doing its thing, I think leaving this kind of looking like it's not perfect, I think that's a good look. So we'll get this guy kind of put in his place. Kind of goes right there. So let's put some glue here. Yeah, put glue there and then right away I move them away from that spot. Like, what am I thinking? You're thinking it's the wrong spot, is what you're thinking. Because they didn't make it like a real definitive spot on the rear end that it sits. That's why it's a little bit iffy. It's iffy, to say the least. And now I've moved it around so much on the transmission. Sorry guys, I know that was basically not really visible. I'm trying to get this lined up where it's supposed to be, but it's not super obvious the exact spot. It would be nice if they had like a peg and a hole or something like that to line it up, but there isn't one. So it just kind of, you just kind of find a sweet spot in the where it mounts on the rear end there. And I've got it kind of touching the transmission cross member here, except it's touching on the top side, so I could like put lots of glue there and just leave it like that. I don't want it to be actually touching the drive shaft, but it seems to be okay. It's funny that they're calling this the exhaust. You know, it's supposed to protect the exhaust, but from what? The exhaust is over on this side. Like, seriously, the exhaust is on this side, guys, not this side. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, it's weird. But there we go. So that's going to conclude step 3 and 4, except of course for the wheels, which we're going to do later on. Step 5, we're moving into the body. But of course we haven't painted the body yet. I've almost run out of time for today. But well, it's funny they want us to paint the holes in the fenders flat black, but I've already drilled those out, so I don't have to worry about those at all. The one thing that I should think about though is what is actually visible through these holes. Is the interior visible through there? Yeah, it is. You can see the interior through there. So what does that mean I need to do? That means I need to paint this and this. I'm going to grab Tamiya's flat black. And I'm going to grab a big brush. And we're just going to go kind of like this. And I think that's good enough. I don't know how much of this is going to be visible under the hood. Probably quite a bit. Maybe not a whole lot. Not too much. But I want to leave that white because, well, the body's white. Well, it's going to be. It's going to be white. So I want to just kind of leave the front of that and only do the sides. So I leave those. I think that's good enough, just like that. I don't think I need to do any more. Really, maybe just a little bit up here. Just to kind of hide the inside a little bit. It's all these little details. It's the details that matter, guys. It's the details. I see a lot of the more professional modelers on YouTube and stuff like that, and I see a lot of times it's almost like they take each piece and they treat that piece like it's its own model. They do as much detail on one little thing, like the seats. They'll do just as much detail on the seat as if this is the entire model. And I think that's the difference between guys like you and me and a professional modeler, is they treat the thing like it's, each piece is its own unique model kit. I keep wanting to put the dash in here because that's what you do in just about every single model kit. I can see where it kind of would line up and where it's going to line up, I can tell, but we actually put the dash in on the body. It's got this two little tabs on the inside there right above my finger, and it lines up onto this here, and it goes in like that and lines up in there. It's very unique. I've never seen another model kit where you actually put the dash in like this on its own. It's very, very strange. And yet we're doing that after putting in the windshield. So the windshield's going to go in first and then this, which means very soon, I have to start working on getting this thing painted white. I think that's going to be next time. For the last 5 minutes or so that I've got here, I want to work on the seat belts and show you guys what I'm going to be dealing with the seat belts. I've cut and painted myself 4 little sections of seat belts here. 2 shorter and 2 longer. The longer ones are going to be for the front, and the shorter ones are going to be for the rear. The rear ones I think are going to be fairly simple in what I do with them, because they just have to go along the side of the seat here like this and come up, just kind of go like, if I just glue that down in there like that, that's then the front side, then the bottom is done, and then this will come up kind of like that, just go over and stop right about here, and that's where they go on the real car. And so I think that's good enough, just like that, and that's going to be fine, and that'll be good enough for the rear belt, doing something like that. And then I can add one of my 3D printed little buckle things to the belt. I'll just take one of these off now. Let's just brute force rip it off with my fingers. I showed you guys my little 3D printed seat belts before. I have uploaded them onto Cult's 3D website if you guys are interested in printing your own. You can print your own version of these. You can scale them to whatever size you want if these are not the size you like. But I can just take this little buckle right there. See that little guy right there? Take him, and I can just glue that to the belt like that, and glue it on there, and then paint it, and then that belt will put on there, and then you'll have the little buckle hanging down there, and I think that'll be great. And in fact, I think maybe the little section that you would hold on to put it in, that might be a little too big. I'm going to try clipping this. I don't know how brittle this particular resin I used is. I'm going to try just trimming this down just a hair on each side. Let's see. That seemed to be okay. Of course, very small pieces, so I think trimming that off just that little bit. Now it's not quite so wide. That might look a little bit more realistic to the size that I'm going for. I'm trying to get my tweezers under it so I can go zoom in for you like that. I think that's a little bit better. Flip over. There we go. Yeah, I think that's a little better. Don't you? Yes, you do. I can't hear you, but I know you said yeah, that's good. So what I'm going to do, I'm almost out of time here. But we're working on seat belts. So, yippee. Get a little bit of CA glue going here. And first thing I'm going to do is get the bottom side in, so I'm going to dip my belt in here and just kind of put it down the side of the seat here, or totally miss and get it all in all places I don't want it to be. There we go. So let that dry. I'll get my other one, which somehow wound up way over here. I'm going to dip him in and go on this side, right into that little corner. See, he was nice and eager to go in there. That's great. Okay, the challenge I'm going to have is for our front ones. That's going to be the real challenge. Is the front one. So I'm going to take this guy and put him over to the side until I'm ready. I want to have the seat belts glued in their place before I put the buckle on them. Okay, that's what I want to do. The fronts I need to kind of figure out an exact length. I'm almost thinking what I'll do is glue them into the top here, run them through my little loop. Let's put this aside here. Since this is all going to be black anyway, it's not really going to matter. But I think I'll just fold this part over like this, so I can put it through. Gotta get it at the right angle. There we go. Put it through like that and glue it like this. I think I'll just do that. Let's dip that in some glue here and glue it down like that. Or maybe not. You know, CA glue is supposed to be instant. Isn't it supposed to be instant? I thought that's what the whole advertisement was all about. CA glue is instant. Let's get some more on there. More on. Yeah, that's me. Okay. Let's get some accelerant on there. There. Get you to stick. So now I can drape that down like it's supposed to. Okay. Soak up some of this. That's what I hate about spraying the accelerant. Okay, let's do the same on this side. Let's fold this over here. Oh, that's actually sticky. You're not supposed to be sticky. So we're going to fold it the other way. Maybe the stickiness will help me. Okay, dip that in the glue. Let's get this at the right angle here for me to do it. Run them through right there. There we go. Okay. Oh, damn it, really? Even with... So now, I'm going to have to hold it in there. I'm going to have to hold this. And get my CA applicator. Patent pending. The trick is, once I got it in here, to keep it in the exact same spot I want it, and apply some more CA. I don't even know if you guys can see anything that I'm doing. I apologize if you can't. Okay, so there, I put more CA glue on that one. A lot more CA glue. Let's find a Q-tip here. Do I have a Q-tip? No, I don't. Well, it's dried anyway. Okay, so I'm going to apply a little bit more on this one. Because I want them to stick. I want to have to rip that thing off there if I ever want to remove it. That's what I want. So, we've got 2 seat belts dangling down. Just like that. It's at this point that I kind of would like to flatten out my actual anchors. Now that I've got it flattened. Now that I've got the belts looped through them, I would like to flatten them out if I can. I'm going to try. These are made of solder after all, so the solder is flexible. So I should be able to... Oh yeah, that one flattened out beautifully. That's great. So it tucks them into the wall a little bit better. And so there we go. I don't know if you guys can really tell anything that I was really doing there, but I've got my seat belts in there, and that's hanging from its little loop in there. It's going to be painted black, so it's not going to really see very much, especially with the glossiness of the glue. That'll disappear with my paint. And that is that for now. Those need to get looped. Those actually are going to have to be fished through our loops in our seats. This is the passenger seat. That will have to fish through this loop, kind of like this, and go down the side and basically glue to the seat here at the back, kind of like this. So obviously I'll have to take up a bunch of slack. I'll have to see my lengths and how all that's going to work out, and then trim them, cut them down, right? It's better to have more than to have not enough. So that's that. So that is part of the seatbelt adventure. I'm going to soak up my CA glue. And so that is about it. Okay. So that's kind of where we're going to leave this for today. I've got glue to dry, paint to dry, little things like that. And that's all part of the process. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Oh, I do have my rear belts. I should, if I've done my job right, I'd be able to hold this and pull that and it wouldn't go anywhere. That's if I did my job right, but I probably didn't, because that's me. I need to glue these to the top here. Okay, back here like that. Need to glue that down. I got to do that for both of them. Okay, and then put my little buckles about maybe 2/3 of the way down, maybe halfway up the seat. That's usually about there. You know, when you sit down in the back of the car, you kind of grab here and pull it. You're gonna have the buckle about, you know, your under boob, side boob level, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling. I want to thank you guys for watching. Check out the description box below for links to my other things. Hit the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. That was everything that I say in every video at the end, right? Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you all on the next one.